You awake before the sun. The wake is a generous word. The city already breathes around you, indifferent and enormous, its stone streets slick with last night's mud and last week's rain. Marble towers gleam faintly in the mist, trying their best to appear grand while dripping with the shame of centuries of human traffic. You step carefully, avoiding puddles thick with filth, hoping nobody notices your boots scraping against the uneven stones. The Tiber sighs lazily in the distance, carrying with it the sour perfume of rotting fish, smoke, and whatever miracle keeps the city's drains from completely collapsing. Merchants shuffle like ghosts between market stalls, their carts squeaking complaints with each reluctant wheel. You think about joining them, just to feel some purpose in the muddied chaos, but quickly realize their haggling is a battle, and you are ill-equipped for war. Children dart through narrow alleys, laughing like they own the city, because, in truth, the adults are too busy surviving to notice them. The smell of bread baking drifts from somewhere warm and enclosed, teasing, taunting, a cruel promise of breakfast you will not touch. Somewhere, a slave coughs into his sleeve, and the sound echoes off marble like a whisper of forgotten cruelty. You are soaked in the scents, the chill, the noise, the quiet humiliation of being human in a city that doesn't much care. And still you move forward, toes scraping stone, nostrils full of filth and dawn, caught between awe and exhaustion in a city that will never, ever forgive you for being awake.
You slip into the forum as if it were a river of stone, marble pillars looming like silent judges that have long forgotten mercy. The city's heartbeat pulses here, slow, deliberate, suffused with the scent of sweat, dust, and gold that has been polished so long it barely smells at all. Senators glide past in flowing togas, faces pale from deliberation or just vanity, voices low and precise, as if every whisper could topple an empire. You imagine joining them, daring to speak, but quickly realize your words would be swallowed like mud in the Tiber, inaudible, useless, and slightly humiliating. Around you, merchants huddle in shallow doorways, their wares spilling into the street, coins clinking like tiny accusations. Every glance is a calculation, every gesture a negotiation in a silent war you did not agree to fight. A dog barks at your ankles, teeth flashing, and you understand too late that the city's violence is subtle here, not in blood spilled on the sands of the arena, but in the invisible currents that push, pull, and crush without warning. You breathe in the mixture of incense, unwashed bodies, and the faint copper tang of coins, and it sticks to your lungs like memory. A child's laughter rings out, incongruous, bright, a reminder that innocence is brief and mostly ignored. You follow the shadows, brushing against statues that have seen centuries of ambition and deceit, and wonder if they are judging you for being too human, too awake, too vulnerable. And in the hush between footsteps and whispers, you feel the weight of it all. The grandeur, the cruelty, the absurdity settle into your bones, whispering that in Rome, power is everywhere, and mercy is nowhere.
You slip through a narrow doorway, and the city's grandeur shrinks to the width of a room. The scent of smoke and cooking oil curling around you like a lazy, judgmental cat.
The hearth crackles, timid flames licking clay pots, but the warmth barely reaches your toes. You notice the walls, damp with yesterday's rain, and the faint smear of soot that even the household slaves cannot erase, a reminder that elegance is an idea, not a reality. The floorboards creak with every step, each groan a confession of age and neglect. A woman kneels beside a simmering pot, her hands red from chopping onions that sting your eyes and your patience. She mutters under her breath, a mixture of prayer, curse, and complaint, and you can't tell which is which. Somewhere in the corner, a child sucks on a crust, eyes wide, cheeks smeared with oil and innocence alike. The smell of roasted meat mingles with the tang of sweat, and for a moment you consider running, but the walls seem to lean in, reminding you that escape is fiction. The slaves move silently, efficient as shadows, fetching water, fanning flames, whispering secrets you will never understand. Laughter flits across the room, brittle and sudden, like glass breaking softly. You wonder if anyone notices you, or if you are simply part of the room's scent and weight, absorbed into the rhythm of labor, hunger, and exhaustion. Even the shadows on the walls seem to judge you, flickering with stories of those who lived and suffered before you. And as you inhale the mixture of smoke, sweat, and something faintly sweet, you realize that life behind these doors is small, brutal, intimate, and unbearably alive. A whisper of reality behind Rome's polished marble and grand illusions.
You step back into the streets, and the city greets you with a roar, the kind of roar that smells faintly of iron and sweat and something you don't want to name. The cobblestones are slick with mud, water, and who knows what else. A history of spills and stains no marble ever bothered to hide. Somewhere, a dog fights a rat over yesterday's scraps, their snarls blending into the distant cheer of the Colosseum. You follow the sound, feet scraping stone, trying not to think about how easily a stray chariot wheel could end you, and failing. The arena's crowd swells like a tide, voices rising and falling, a living instrument tuned to bloodlust. You catch a glimpse of the sand below, red in places, dark in others, and you realize some stains will never fade, no matter how many emperors pretend otherwise. Gladiators march past, armor clinking, muscles taut, eyes empty of hope and full of calculation. Somewhere in the procession, a man trips, curses softly, and you almost admire his honesty. You inhale the mixture of sweat, dust, and incense from some temple far away, and it sticks in your throat like a memory you did not ask for. A child runs by, laughing, chased by a goat, barefoot and oblivious. You wonder how anyone survives this city without developing either cynicism or madness, and quickly decide you are somewhere in between. Fires crackle in alleyways, smoke curling into the evening sky like lazy fingers. Every cheer from the arena, every shouted order, every whisper in the shadows presses against your ribs. The grandeur is there, yes, and so is the rot. And as the sun dips low, the city exhales a sigh, one part triumph, two parts decay, leaving you suspended between awe and exhaustion in a world that loves spectacle more than life itself.
The sun dips low, and the city exhales one long, weary sigh. Shadows stretch across marble and mud alike, licking the streets with the same lazy curiosity as rats in the alleys. You wander without purpose, following the faint hum of life that has not yet surrendered to night, and notice that even the grandest temples seem smaller in the evening light, their golden facades dulled by smoke and dust and the faint weight of forgotten prayers. The Tiber glitters like a dark mirror, reflecting the tired, crooked faces of those who pass beside it, carrying burdens you could never name. Hearths flicker in distant houses, sending smoke into the dusk that smells faintly of bread, oil, and desperation. Somewhere a child cries, and a mother hisses under her breath, half lullaby, half curse. You think about all the voices you've passed today, the merchants, slaves, soldiers, senators, and how each one carries a small private defeat like a coin in the pocket. Even the city itself seems to sag under the weight of its own ambition, as if it knows that all its towers, banners, and ceremonies are fleeting, absurd, and terribly fragile. You step into the forum one last time, the echo of past triumphs and forgotten cruelty clinging to the columns like stubborn ivy. The city's heartbeat slows, soft and uneven, and you feel yourself folding into it, your skin tasting the dust, your lungs full of smoke and incense, your mind full of stories that are too real to be comfortable. Rome will sleep now, briefly, dreamlessly, or perhaps in nightmares, and you, trapped in its memory, realize that empires are nothing but whispers, beautiful, terrible, fleeting, and all that remains is the soft, unending hum of life that endured long after the marble has cracked, the blood has dried, and the world has moved on without noticing.